Joe was. And that's because they were used to seeing Joe like he used to be. And don't you know when God gets ready to move in your life, he'll do it where folk won't even recognize who you are. And that's because they still looking at you like you used to be. But God has a way of changing the way folk look at you. So here Joe is, y'all. Here he is. This defining moment in the life of Joe. It's a defining moment because he's at this cul-de-sac in his life. And his brothers come looking for food. Now, Joseph here is filled with consternation. Memory begins to come, running to his defense. He starts thinking about how these brothers beat him and sold him out. And so here Joe is. Joe has to battle through bitterness just to do the right thing. Oh, I wish I had a witness in here sometime. Joe had to battle through bitterness just to do the right thing. And you know, every now and then, you got to battle just to do the right thing. I know it's all over now. It's been said and done. God done brought me out. To God be the glory. But there's still some unanswered questions as it relates to why Negroes did you the way they did you. And you got to be careful because bitterness has a way of slipping up on you. I ain't telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. You'll go to bed one night and wake up mad as hell. Bitterness will slip up on you. And it usually comes not while you're in what you're going through. Because while you're in what you're going through, you're trying to keep your head above water. But as soon as you get out of what you're going through, you find yourself parked on the sloping back of a question mark, and you look back and start having some reflections on why folk did you the way they did you. And so here Joseph is. How he responds to his brothers could be a doorway to destiny or a trapdoor to hell. And I like what Joe does. Joe says, rather than be bitter, I'm going to get better. Joe said, I can't allow them to get to me. Joe said, I'm going to get better. And you got to be careful how you manage your moments, because how you deal with bitterness can affect your destiny. So here Joe is, y'all. He said, yeah. Y'all come here, brothers. Wish I felt like preaching tonight. Don't y'all feel bad? You should, but don't feel bad. Y'all did me wrong. Yeah, you did it. Yeah, y'all did. Yeah, you did. But don't worry about it. It's me. Yeah, it's me. I know y'all thought I was dead, but it's me. Oh, I know y'all don't recognize me now because the last time you saw me, y'all were trying to plan my funeral. But here I am. It's me. Don't y'all sweat it. Don't sweat. Don't worry about it. Here it is. God sent me before you. Oh, that's a powerful testimony, Sanders. That's a powerful testimony. He regurgitates this testimony in the midst of bitterness and says, God sent me before you to preserve life. Notice, I'm noticing how and when Joe gives this testimony, y'all, because Joe doesn't say this while he's in the pit, because he's still being tutored. Joe doesn't say this when he gets in prison because he's still being tutored. He doesn't say this in Potiphar's house because he's still in night school. He doesn't even say it when he gets to the palace. But as soon as he sees the brothers who did him wrong, he says, now I know why I had to go through what I was going through. And your testimony is not authentic until you can face the folk who did you wrong, until you can love the folk who are loving you, until you can receive the folk who rejected you, until you can help the folk who hurt you, until you can pray for those who prayed on you. Can I tell you about this testimony tonight? I'm not going to finish, y'all. This is why we really want to preach about him. Can I tell you about testimony? There a couple things about it. I'm going to sit down. And here it is, number one, is that you have to learn how to perceive God. Perceive the presence of God in the midst of your problematic predicaments. And then number two, understand that your pilgrimage has been providentially prescribed. And then number three, understand that your passport to the palace has been personalized. And then number four, understand you have the persistent presence of God in the midst of all of your problems. And then number 4 or 5, the last one is there's a purpose in your pain. Now I'm going to talk about two of them. I'm going to let y'all go to the house. You got to perceive the presence of God in your predicament. He opens his testimony by saying, God. Let church say God. God. He opens by saying God, and rightly so, because every testimony ought to begin with God and ought to end with God. Can I have about 5 more minutes? Watch this. He says, God, 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 not y'all, God, not the Ishmaelites, God, not Potiphar's desperate housewife, God. God. It's not. See, if you're going to get to the next level, you've got to learn how to visualize God. You've got to get a good visual of God in your vicissitudes. You've got to get a poignant picture of God in the midst of your predicaments. You got to have your eyes fixed. See, it's not what happens to you, but it's how you look at what happens to you. Watch this. Let me add another one. But it's who you look at when it's happening to you. Y'all missed that, didn't you? Job says, watch this now. In verse 5, he says, God. Verse 6, God. Verse 7, God did it. Verse 8, God did it. You didn't do it. Verse 9, it's God who made me. Job says, now, I did not see it then, but I see it now. Now that I've had a chance to connect all the dots. Can I talk about dots for a minute? Because see, you really can't understand what's going on until you connect all the dots. And some of y'all, Pastor Sanders, sometime after you go through some cataclysmic events that shake the terra firma of your existence and it cause you to feel like your life is nothing more than a blank piece of paper with a whole lot of unconnected and unrelated dots. Do you know what a dot is? Can I analyze it for a moment? A dot is difficulty, opposition, and test. Oh, y'all missed that. Difficulty, opposition, and test. When you lose your job, that's a dot. Difficulty, opposition, and test. When your husband leaves you, that's a dot. Difficulty, opposition, and test. When you get cancer in your body, that's a dot. Difficulty, opposition, and test. But it's not until you learn how to connect all of the dots. Y'all still not getting it. Some of y'all are like my son. We were out to eat a few months ago, and he's trying. They have little puzzles at Fridays. His sister's older than him, and so she hurries and shows her level of academia by just connecting the dots real quick, show her about how smart she is, and so she's got this pretty little goose sitting up there. And my son, a little younger, he's discouraged and he's perplexed. He's upset because he doesn't have a goose on his, and he doesn't know how to work the puzzle. And he says, Daddy, this don't make any sense to me. And I said, son, what's wrong? He says, Hensley got a goose, but I ain't got nothing. All I got is a whole bunch of dots on the path. I said, son, there's a sequence to this puzzle here. There's a cadence to this thing here. You just can't get upset. You've only connected 2 dots. You got to connect all the dots, son. He said, well, Dad, but I just don't see it. I said, son, trust me. If you connect all the dots, you'll have a goose. And so he's continued to complain and complain. I said, son, if you just quit complaining and start connecting, y'all don't catch this, you'll find a goose. And I'm talking to somebody here tonight. You got a whole lot of dots in your life, and you don't understand there's a sovereign sequence to what you're going through. There's a cosmic cadence to your crisis, and God is saying to you, just quit complaining and start connecting. And my son said, Daddy, it's a goose. I said, son, it was a goose there all the time. I was just waiting on you to connect the dots. And you might not find a goose when you connect the dots, but you will find God. And he didn't just get there. He was there all of the time. I ain't through, but I am finna quit now. You got to connect the dots. Here's one more thing. I'm going to let y'all go here. Watch this now. The passport. Well, no, I ain't going to talk about that. Let me talk about this. Yeah, your pilgrimage has been providentially prescribed. I'm going to the next word. God then sent. He said, God sent. God sent. God sent me. Joe says, I've had time to do a crime scene investigation of my situation. I've dusted for fingerprints, and I know all the evidence points to my other 10 brothers, but after I've done this thorough investigation, I have concluded that the guilty culprit is the creator. I've dusted for fingerprints, and I found the Father's fingerprints on my failures. I found his DNA all over my dilemma. He said, God did it. God did it. It was God. God is the guilty culprit. It wasn't my brothers. It was God that did it.